When we view ourselves from the top floor of a modern city, it is incredibly easy to feel like the main characters of planet Earth. We look down at the sprawling, illuminated skyscrapers, the rushing traffic, and the vast networks we have built, and we see absolute proof of our dominance over nature. But if you strip away the technology, the clothes, and the concrete, a very different picture emerges. Drop that same naked human into the middle of a prehistoric savanna, and our dominance vanishes entirely. Out in the wild, our physical bodies are actually quite unimpressive. We are not the fastest runners, we are nowhere near the strongest, we lack thick armor, and we are born completely without natural weapons, like sharp claws, long fangs, or venom. We are simply mammals. More specifically, we belong to a large, remarkably noisy biological family called the Great Apes. If you trace our lineage back just a few million years, you will find a single grandmother that we share directly with chimpanzees and gorillas. Before we can figure out how we ended up running the entire planet, we have to start right here. We have to accept the humbling reality that we are just another animal species, completely devoid of any inherent biological superiority. Look at this family tree. Humans simply refers to any animal belonging to the genus Homo. We were not the only ones. 100,000 years ago, the planet was crowded with distinct human sibling species spread across the continents. In the freezing valleys of Ice Age Europe, you would find the Neanderthals. If you look at this fossilized skull, notice the heavy, robust bone structure. They were noticeably bulkier and far more muscular than we are, perfectly adapted to survive in brutal cold. Over in the eastern forests of Asia, you would find Homo erectus, an incredibly durable sibling species that survived for nearly 2 million years. Meanwhile, on the remote Indonesian island of Flores, an entirely different human sibling evolved into a dwarf species, growing no taller than 3 feet. We often picture evolution as a single straight line, with earlier humans neatly upgrading until they finally reach us at the finish line. The truth is, we are not the pinnacle of a track. We are just one surviving branch on a dense, complicated family tree. You might assume that walking upright with large brains made early humans powerful masters of their environment, but they were actually highly marginal creatures. For over 2 million years, our human ancestors had roughly the same ecological impact as a swarm of jellyfish. They were just passively existing in their habitats, gathering plants and catching small insects without changing the world around them. That massive brain we are so proud of was actually a severe physical burden. Even when you are resting, your brain burns through nearly a quarter of your body's energy. To fuel that giant thinking machine, early humans had to divert energy away from their muscles, leaving them physically much weaker than other apes. Because we were weak, we were not out hunting giant beasts on a regular basis. Our historical reality is much less glamorous. For millions of years, our place in the food chain was stuck solidly in the middle. We were highly anxious scavengers. Picture a pride of lions taking down a large animal. Our human ancestors could not fight them for the meat. Instead, they had to wait out of sight in total silence. Even after the lions finished, humans still had to wait while fierce scavengers like hyenas and jackals picked the carcass clean. Only then, when the coast was completely clear, would our ancestors finally creep out of hiding. They used heavy stones to smash open the abandoned bones, just so they could scoop out the leftover marrow hidden inside. That was our specialty. Other top predators, like lions or sharks, spent millions of years slowly evolving into their dominant roles, allowing their ecosystems time to adjust. Humans jumped from anxious scavengers to the top of the pyramid overnight. We never lost the fears and insecurities of being an underdog, which makes us highly protective, defensive, and uniquely dangerous today. So let's look at the map roughly 70,000 years ago. Our specific species, Homo sapiens, was still just a population of ordinary, anxious apes minding their own business in a corner of East Africa. Our sibling species in Europe were stronger and better adapted to the freezing weather. Yet within just a few thousand years, those stronger siblings completely vanished, and our ancestors expanded across the entire globe. Basic physical biology cannot explain why we survived while they died out. Right around that time, our ancestors started doing things no other animal had ever done. They began making complex tools, sewing thermal clothing, and pressing paint onto cave walls, silently saying, "I was here." That early primitive urge to leave a mark eventually grew into the ability to split the atom, decode our own DNA, and step off the planet entirely. We jumped from cracking leftover bones to flying spaceships, but our bodies didn't suddenly grow stronger, and our teeth didn't get sharper. The leap from the middle of the food chain to the very top was driven by something completely invisible. It happened entirely inside our minds. A sudden evolution in how we communicate allowed us to cooperate in massive numbers and invent realities that don't exist in nature. This mental leap severed our destiny from basic biology and set the stage for a fragile ape to become the undisputed master of the planet.